Thank you for joining me on the Recruiters Recruitment Podcast. And the episode this week is a slightly nuanced one because I'm moving away from it being themed around the recruitment industry. And you clicked on this because I'm going to be talking about my personal journey to becoming ultra processed food and refined sugar free. I basically started the journey into removing refined sugar because in the UK, when you turn 50 years of age, you have a full body MOT in the NHS. It's a fabulous, fabulous thing that we have. And one of the tests that I had showed that I had pre-diabetic triggers. And whilst that wasn't particularly alarming in its own right, within the context that I lost my father in 2021 to pancreatic cancer, this was contributed by the fact that he had type 2 diabetes and he had problems with his bile duct, which is all to do with how your body processes insulin. So I did loads of research when I had the blood test results. I actually got retested a few months later, and even just sort of making a few adaptations and limiting the sugary treats, I found that it basically was no longer pre-diabetic. However, I embarked upon the research with podcasts, lots of articles, ensuring that I'm only reading scientifically based results rather than, what an influencer's done, for example. And the more I read, the more I realised that a return to making proper food and not relying on what you think is healthy, easy food, and basically, something that you grab, a nutritious nut bar or a ready-made protein yogurt is actually pumped full of. It's processed. It's pumped full of additives. It's pumped full of sugar. So I decided that in January the 1st, 2025, I would no longer eat anything with refined sugar in it, and then unintentionally removed ultra processed food because when I actually looked at the ingredients of every single thing that I was planning to eat, I realised that everything had sugar in it. So that was bread, it was, tin of baked beans, it could be literally overnight oats that you buy in Costa Coffee, they've got sugar in them. So I very quickly realised this and basically decided to remove that as well because I thought, well, there's no point me not having sugary treats and then having sugar in everything else that I'm eating. And I have to say it was tough. So that's the first thing I want to say, that if you are going to embark on this journey, I think it's setting yourself the expectations that our whole culture in the United Kingdom, and I'm guessing it's the same across, across every continent basically, is that our food by the big food companies has been created over the last 40 years to have so much sugar pumped into it and so many additives pumped into it that it's going to be really hard to find food that isn't something you have to make yourself. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing I realized is that it's actually not that hard if you plan ahead to create amazing food for yourself that tastes amazing and more importantly nourishes you and keeps you full up so that you don't feel tempted to then go and snack on unhealthy things. So I'm not here to preach. I'm not here to say you should or shouldn't snack because there's still a lot of debate around how people's metabolisms work and every individual's different. I think that if you were to describe my diet now, a year later, I call it the 1960s diet because effectively it was an abundant time in the 1960s. We were, over a decade outside of the Second World War, and there was a lot more education around, and we were post all the rations that people had to suffer in the early 50s still. And I find that it really intriguing that the food that I make myself now is the remnants of what I was brought up on as a 1970s child. So I'll give you an example. So my diet is also underpinned by the premise that your breakfast is the most important meal to set you up for the day, which is a very old wives' tale to say that, isn't it? But it's true. And if you follow the glucose goddess, who I would strongly recommend if you are interested in embarking upon this journey, she's been part of my journey and my education. Actually, having a sweet breakfast, so your cereals traditionally, croissants, the pastries that is actually the worst thing you can do to spike your insulin and spike your glucose levels. So it's actually starting the day with a savoury breakfast. So very often at the weekends, a big treat for me is an omelette with everything shoved in. If I've got any leftover jacket potatoes, they get chopped up. I make sure there's protein in there. There's cheese, whether it's feta or whether it's, just normal cheddar cheese. I get mushrooms in it, I get onions in it, I get tomatoes in it, some sun-dried tomatoes sometimes for a bit of piquant. And it's so nourishing. And the brilliant thing about making food like this is that you can batch cook. I make a big enough omelette that it can get divided up into portions, and then it means I've got an on-the-go breakfast for during the week. I actually always put a green salad by the side of it. And if I'm still not feeling quite full, that I'm feeling I'm depriving myself of sort of carbs, I'll always have a piece of sourdough toast on the side. That will then keep me going all day, all morning till lunchtime, believe it or not, even if I've done a strength training workout, because you're covering all your food categories there. But if I do snack, it's on nuts, actual nuts, rather than the bars of nuts. So I make myself a little Kilner jar, and you can choose whatever nuts you want to put in there. Don't get anything that's been processed. So we're talking just the basic nut. We're not talking about salted or sweetened, just the basic nuts. And then, I mean, the ones, if you want to know, I have walnuts, I have Brazil nuts, I put hazelnuts, cashew nuts, pistachios, and peanuts, actually, just basic peanuts. And then I also put pumpkin seeds in there and sunflower seeds in there because seeds are really important, as we know, for our amino acids. If I'm still feeling a bit peckish, I might take a carrot and peel it and just eat a whole carrot. Banana, because if you follow the glucose goddess, you'll know you shouldn't just be eating fruit on its own. You need to have the fruit with the protein. If I have an apple mid-morning, I do really feel the spike of glucose, believe it or not. And then for lunchtime, I live on Buddha bowls, guys. So they are a really economical way, an easy way to create something that's easy to make, quick, fast food. So I have always in my fridge got really nice hummus. I like the Israeli hummus just because I like the level of tahini in it, but you can make your own. I have feta cheese. I have cottage cheese if I'm not sure which cheese I fancy. I have the tuna that's in the little bags. I always have it just in its whatever, whether it's brine or spring water. So I don't add anything to the tuna other than capers because that really adds a bit of piquant. And then we're talking olives, we're talking a variety of green leaves. I might put some sugar snap peas, all raw, sugar snap peas, maybe some peppers, and I'll have a variety of things. And then I'll have it either, if I haven't had the sourdough toast in the morning, I'll have my sourdough toast with it. Or I really enjoy a really good Swedish cracker because they haven't got anything processed in them. If I'm still feeling I want something a little bit sweet, then I will always then have my fruit. So it could be some blackberries, some strawberries. I tend to avoid blueberries these days. They're just too fructose full. Raspberries are pretty good for managing. Or satsumas, maybe have a couple of satsumas. And then my dinner is always something really good. I'm recording this in the heart of autumn, so you get your slow cooker out and you can batch cook yourself a stewing steak, a stew with potatoes and mushrooms and onions and carrots and swedes and turnips and butternut squash and pack in as many veg as you want. You can even stick some lentils in there if you want to make it really thick. You can make yourself, I made a fish pie the other night, fish, and I put some capers through it and a cheesy bechamel sauce. Jacket potatoes are amazing for mashed potato. When I tell people that, they go, wow, think about what a jacket potato does, how it's cooked. If you actually just peel the skin off and boil them as you would normally with some salted water, they make amazing mash. And that can then keep you going for days. And I always have it with green veg on the side, whether it's broccoli, spinach, peas. And my little dessert in the evenings, guys, is some Greek yogurt. Take it out the fridge an hour before you want to eat it. Trust me on that. And I add a little bit of Manuka honey or local honey if you can, preferably, like literally a drizzle of it. And if I haven't had the nuts in the day, then I'd add my scattering of nuts, slice a banana on it, and that is my dessert. Trust me, when you have done this for 2, 3 months, that really does feel like a treat. It's hard. And as I said at the very start, it's a journey that you're going to embark on where you are going to be continuously challenged when you go out for meals. I always have to ask and say, if there's a sauce with it, has it got sugar in it? I don't want the sugar in it. So I have an alternative. They'll often make you a gravy, or there is a gravy available from another dish, maybe. Just be really careful, but equally, I'm a firm believer in the 80-20 rule. I know I can't moderate I've talked previously about my alcohol-free journey. I've been sober since 2017 and I never went down the alcohol-free route because that's my choice and I'm not somebody that can moderate easily. I would say that the benefits I've seen over the first year of being refined sugar and ultra processed food free is that I physically feel less bloated. I don't get the spikes in my energy. I don't seem to get the sugar crashes at all. Occasionally, if I have fruit without anything else, I do actually get that feeling from the fructose. I feel that I feel I look better. I feel my skin is clearer. I feel that my face is fresher. And the most amazing benefit of all, which is how I want to conclude this episode, is that I'm eating real food. I'm eating tasty, real food. I love eating. I'm a foodie. I love food more than I ever have. I've become much more adventurous in how I cook and what I cook because I really want to taste it. I applaud you for listening to this because if you are listening, it means you are interested in doing this for yourself. And I think that this possibly is going to be the new trend of how I've seen the sobriety journey for so many people become the norm now, which is wonderful. And I think that as a society, we want to take back control of what the big food companies have done to us over the last 40 years, which is destroy our choices of what we actually buy in the supermarkets. You find that the whole food section and the fresh food section is not very sexy compared to, what's easy to grab. But I'm encouraging you now, if you're listening to this, just to stop and pause and think, how long does it actually take to make an omelette? How hard is it to actually do a batch cook on a Sunday for your week ahead, stick them in the freezer and just take them out on the night? I would love to hear from you if this is something that you've either done and accomplished yourself or it's something that you're planning to do for 2026. I will absolutely guarantee that I can share honesty with you. If you want to drop me a DM, please feel free to share this episode. The caveat with this and the caveat that's been on the Canva is that I am not a medical professional. I am not a scientist, but I am a very curious, inquisitive person who, as I enter, midlife, I'm already in the midlife. I want to make sure that I'm giving my body the best chance to thrive and enjoy what hopefully will be golden years for me. So, whatever stage of life you're at, good luck and let me know how you get on. And thank you for listening to this extra special episode.